Have you ever felt the weight of invisible chains holding you back? Those whispers in your mind telling you it's impossible, you're not good enough, or that's just the way things are. These are the illusions that bind us, the false limitations we've accepted as truth. But what if I told you that these chains are made of smoke, ready to dissipate the moment you realize their true nature? Think about a time when you achieved something you once thought impossible. Remember that feeling of exhilaration, that moment when you realized you had transcended your own expectations. Now consider this: what if that feeling, that state of being, was your natural state? What if the limitations you perceive are merely shadows cast by a light you haven't yet recognized within yourself? The world around us seems solid, unchangeable. We're taught from an early age about the facts of life, the rules we must follow, the boundaries we must respect. But pause for a moment and reflect. Who created these rules? Who drew these boundaries? And more importantly, who continues to enforce them in your mind? You see, the greatest illusion is not the world around us, but the lens through which we view it. This lens, shaped by our experiences, belief, and societal conditioning, colors everything we perceive. It's as if we're wearing glasses that paint the world, making some things seem possible and others inevitable. But these glasses aren't fused to our faces. We can remove them, clean them, or even discard them altogether. Consider the nature of reality itself. Quantum physics tells us that at the most fundamental level, the universe is not made of solid matter, but of energy and information. The chair you are sitting on, the ground beneath your feet, even your own body, all of these are mostly empty space, with particles vibrating in complex patterns. If the most solid aspects of our reality are this fluid and dynamic, how much more flexible might our perceived limitations be? Your consciousness is. The you that's listening right now is not confined to your physical body. It extends beyond, interacting with the world in ways we're only beginning to understand. Every thought you have, every belief you hold, ripples out into the universe, shaping your experience of reality. When you accept a limitation, you're not describing an objective truth. You're programming your experience. But here's the limiting truth. Just as you can program limitations, you can also program limitlessness. Your mind is not a static entity, but a dynamic, ever-changing flow of consciousness. Every moment offers a new opportunity to reshape your beliefs, to redefine what's possible for you. Think of a child learning to walk. They fall countless times, but the thought of failure never crosses their mind. They don't say, walking is impossible for me. They simply keep trying, driven by an innate knowing that they are meant to walk. What if we approach every aspect of our lives with that same unshakable certainty? The barriers we perceive, whether they're physical, emotional, or psychological, are often self-imposed. They're the result of past experiences, societal expectations, or fears we've internalized. But just as a prisoner who's lived in a cell for years might hesitate to leave when the door is open, we often cling to our limitations out of familiarity. Breaking free requires courage. It demands that we question everything we've been told about ourselves and the world. It asks us to step into the unknown, to be willing to fail, to look foolish, to go against the grain. But with each step we take beyond our perceived limits, we reclaim a piece of our true power. Consider the 4-minute mile. For years, it was considered a physical impossibility for a human to run a mile in less than 4 minutes. Doctors and scientists claimed it couldn't be done. Then, in 1954, Roger Bannister broke that barrier. Within just 2 months, another runner had done it too. Today, it's a standard for all professional middle distance runners. What changed? Not human physiology, but human belief. This principle applies to every area of your life. Your career, your relationships, your personal growth. All of these are shaped by your beliefs about what's possible. When you shed the illusion of limitation, you open yourself to a world of infinite potential. But how do we begin to break free from these self-imposed chains? It starts with awareness. Begin to notice the thoughts that run through your mind. When you encounter a challenge, what's your immediate reaction? Do you think, I can't do this, or do you ask, how can I do this? The difference between these two responses is the difference between a life constrained by limitations and a life of bound possibility. Next, question your assumptions. Whenever you find yourself thinking, I can't, or it's impossible, pause and ask, is that really true? Who says? Where did I learn this belief? Often you find that your limitations are based on outdated information, other people's opinions, or fears that no longer serve you. Remember, every great achievement in human history was once considered impossible. Flight, space travel, instant global communication. All of these were once dismissed as fantasy. The people who made these dreams reality weren't superhumans. They were ordinary people who refused to accept the limitations others had set for them. You have that same power within you. Your mind is a tool of incredible potential, capable of reshaping your reality. But like any tool, it must be used consciously and deliberately. Too often we let our minds run on autopilot, recycling old thoughts and beliefs without question. Taking control of your mind means becoming the active creator of your life, rather than a passive recipient of circumstances. Imagine for a moment that you had never been told no, that you had never been taught to doubt yourself, to fear failure, to stay within the lines. Who would you be? What would you do? That version of you isn't a fantasy. It's your true self waiting to be unleashed. The process of shedding limitations is not always comfortable. It requires us to confront our fears, to challenge our deepest beliefs about ourselves and the world. It might mean standing alone when others doubt you, or persisting in the face of repeated setbacks. But with each limitation you overcome, you expand not just your own possibilities, but the possibilities for all of humanity. You see, we're all connected. When you break through a barrier, you create a crack in the collective illusion of limitation. You become living proof of what's possible, inspiring others to question their own constraints. In this way, living without limitations is not just a personal achievement. As you continue on this journey of self-discovery and empowerment, remember that the only true limits are the ones you accept. Your potential is as vast as the universe itself. The power to reshape your reality lies within you, waiting to be claimed. Are you ready to step into that power? Are you willing to live as if you have no limitations? In the next part of our exploration, we'll delve into the incredible tool you possess for breaking through these illusory barriers, your imagination. This faculty, often dismissed as mere daydreaming, is in fact the most powerful creative force in the universe, and it's at your disposal every moment of every day. As we've seen, the limitations we perceive are often illusory, constructs of our mind rather than immutable facts of reality. But if our minds can create these barriers, it stands to reason that our minds also hold the key to breaking them down. This key, this incomparable tool for transformation, is your imagination. Close your eyes for a moment. What do you see? Darkness? Or do images, scenes, and possibilities dance across your inner vision? This inner world, as real and vibrant as the physical world around us, is the workshop of creation. It's where every invention, every big art, every scientific breakthrough, and every personal transformation begin. Your imagination is not some frivolous faculty, a distraction from real life. It is, in fact, the most real and powerful force at your disposal. Everything in your life, from the clothes you wear to the chair you sit on, from your relationships to your career, began as an idea, an image in someone's mind. Your entire experience of life is shaped by your imagination, whether you're conscious of it or not. Right now, you're absorbing these words, but your mind is simultaneously creating images, feelings, and associations. You're not just passively receiving information, you're actively constructing your understanding. This is your imagination at work, and it never stops. Even when you sleep, your imagination continues to weave stories and scenarios in your dreams. But here's the crucial point. Your imagination doesn't just reflect reality, it creates it. The images and scenarios you hold in your mind shape your expectations, guide your actions, and ultimately manifest in your physical experience. This isn't mystical thinking. It's the practical operation of your nervous system and the universal laws of mind. When you vividly imagine something, your brain and body responds if it were actually happening. Your nervous system doesn't distinguish between a real experience and one that's vividly imagined. This is why visualizing techniques are so effective in sports, why mental rehearsal improves performance in any field, and why your nightmares can leave you in a cold sweat. Understanding this principle is the first step to harnessing the true power of your imagination. You're always using your imagination, whether you realize it or not, using it consciously to create the life you desire, or unconsciously perpetuating patterns and limitations from your past. The great minds throughout history understood this power. Einstein said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress, giving birth to evolution." He used his imagination to conceive thought experiments that revolutionized our understanding of the universe. Mozart could hear entire symphonies in his mind before writing a single note on paper. Nikola Tesla visualized his inventions in perfect detail before building them. These weren't supernatural abilities, they were examples of imagination used to its fullest potential. You have the same power. The only difference is in how you use it. Most people use their imagination haphazardly, allowing it to be shaped by fears, past experiences, and external influence. They imagine worst-case scenarios, replay past failures, or passively absorb the limited thinking of others. Is it any wonder, then, that they find themselves trapped in cycles of limitation? But you can choose differently. You can use your imagination deliberately, as the creative force it truly is. When you do this, you tap into a power that can reshape your entire life. Start by becoming aware of your habitual thoughts and mental images. What scenarios do you routinely imagine? Are they empowering or limiting? Do they expand your sense of what's possible? Or do they keep you trapped in familiar patterns? Once you're aware of your mental habits, you can begin to change them. This is where the real work begins, but also where the magic happens. Instead of focusing on what you don't want, or what you fear might happen, start cultivating vivid, detailed images of what you do want. If you're seeking a new career, don't just think abstractly about getting a better job. Instead, imagine yourself in specific detail, doing work that excites you. See yourself in your ideal workspace. Feel the satisfaction of using your skills. Hear the conversations with colleagues who respect and value you. Make this imagined scenario as real and vivid as possible. If you're working on improving your health, don't just set a vague goal to get fit. Imagine yourself moving with energy and vitality. Feel the strength in your muscles, the easy rhythm of your breathing. See the admiring glances of others. Hear the compliments on your vitality. Taste the delicious, nourishing foods that fuel your body. The key is to engage all your senses in these imagined scenarios. The more real you can make them in your mind, the more powerfully they will influence your subconscious mind. And, consequently, your actions and your results. This isn't daydreaming or wishful thinking. This is conscious, deliberate use of your creative faculty. When you imagine with this level of detail and feeling, you're literally wiring your brain, creating new neural pathways that support your desired reality. But imagination alone isn't enough. It must be coupled with faith. Not blind belief, but a deep, unshakable knowing that what you've imagined is not only possible but inevitable. This faith is what bridges the gap between your inner vision and your outer reality. Cultivating this faith requires practice. It means holding on to your vision even when external circumstances seem to contradict it. It means persisting in the face of setbacks, knowing that every obstacle is simply an opportunity to strengthen your resolve and refine your approach. One powerful technique for strengthening this faith is to live from the end. This means imagining your desired outcome as already achieved, and then experiencing your day from that perspective. How would you think, feel, and act if your goal were already realized? By consistently adopting this state of mind, you align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with your desired reality, accelerating its manifestation. Another crucial aspect of using your imagination effectively is emotional intensity. The images you hold in your mind must be infused with feeling. It's not enough to coldly visualize a scenario. You must feel it as real. The stronger the emotion associated with your mental image, the more deeply it imprints on your subconscious mind, and the more powerfully it influences your reality. This is why it's so important to cultivate positive emotions. alongside your imagined scenarios. Feel the joy, the excitement, the gratitude of having your desire fulfilled. These positive emotions not only make the process more enjoyable, but they also send a powerful message to your subconscious mind and to the universe at large that this is your natural state of being. As you practice using your imagination in this way, you will likely encounter resistance. Old beliefs and habits may surface, trying to pull you back to familiar territory. This is normal and even necessary. It's your opportunity to consciously choose your new reality over the old limitations. When doubts arise, don't fight them. Instead, gently but firmly return to your imagined scene. Remind yourself that your imagination is creating your reality, and you choose to imagine the best possible outcome. With consistent practice, these new thought patterns will become as natural and automatic as your old limiting beliefs once were. It's important to understand that using your imagination in this way is not about denying or ignoring current reality. It's about knowing that current conditions are the result of past thoughts and imaginings, and that you have the power to create new conditions through your present use of imagination. This principle applies not just to personal goals, but to every aspect of life. Want to improve your relationships? Imagine interactions filled with love, understanding, and mutual respect, seeking to make a difference in the world. Imagine yourself as a powerful force for positive change, seeing the specific impacts of your actions. The scope of what you can achieve through conscious use of your imagination is limitless. Every great achievement, every leap forward in human progress began in someone's imagination. The airplane, the internet human rights movement. All of these were once just ideas, images in someone's mind before they became reality. You have the same creative power within you. Your imagination is not bound by your current circumstances, your past experiences, or what others tell you is possible. It is as vast and limitless as the universe itself. When you tap into this power, you connect with the very source of creation. But remember, imagination is not about escaping reality. It's about creating it. The images you hold in your mind are blueprints for your life. By consciously choosing and vividly experiencing these internal images, you set in motion the forces that will bring them into physical reality. As you move forward, commit to making conscious use of your imagination as daily practice. Set aside time each day to vividly imagine your ideal life in every detail. But don't stop there. Carry this practice into every moment. As you go about your day, continuously imagine the best possible outcomes. See yourself succeeding, thriving, and living without limitations. With consistent practice, you'll find that your external reality begins to align more and more closely with your internal vision. Opportunities will appear that you hadn't noticed before. You'll find yourself taking actions that lead you closer to your goals. People and resources that can help you seem to appear just when you need them. This isn't magic or coincidence. It's the natural result of aligning your entire being, your thoughts, feelings, and actions with your deepest desires and highest potential. Your imagination is the tool that makes this alignment possible. As we move into the final part of our exploration, we'll look at practical steps for living without limits. We'll explore how to implement this powerful understanding in your daily life, how to overcome the challenges you'll inevitably face, and how your limitless living can create a ripple effect that transforms not just your life, but the world around you. Remember, your imagination is always active, always creating. The choice of what to imagine is yours. Will you use this incredible power to reinforce old limitations or to create a life of boundless possibility? The decision is yours, and it begins right now, in this moment, with the very next thought you choose to entertain. The power of your imagination, as we've explored, is the key to transcending perceived limitations. But how do we translate this understanding into tangible, everyday actions? How do we live without limits in a world that seems intent on imposing? This is where theory meets practice, where insight transforms into lived experience. Living without limits isn't about suddenly becoming superhuman or defying the laws of physics. It's about expanding your conception of what's possible and refusing to be bound by arbitrary constraints. It's a mindset, a way of approaching life that opens doors you never knew existed. The first step in living without limits is to become acutely aware of your thoughts and beliefs. Every moment of every day, you're engaged in an internal dialogue. This constant stream of thought shapes your perceptions, decisions, and actions. Most people let this dialogue run on autopilot, unconsciously repeating patterns of thought they've inherited or developed over time. But you have the power to direct this dialogue consciously. Start by paying attention to your self-talk. When you face a challenge, what do you tell yourself? Do you immediately think of all the reasons why you can't succeed? Or do you focus on finding solutions? When an opportunity arises, do you talk yourself out of it? Or do you encourage yourself? Becoming aware of these thought patterns is crucial because they form the foundation of your limitless life. Once you're aware of them, you can begin to change them. Replace limiting thoughts with empowering ones. Instead of I can't, say, how can I? Instead of it's too difficult, say I'm learning and growing through this challenge. This shift in self-talk isn't about positive thinking in a vague, generic sense. It's about aligning your thoughts with the truth of your infinite potential. It's about recognizing that the voice telling you you can't is not the voice of reality, but the echo of past limitations. The next step is to take inspired action. Living without limits doesn't mean sitting back and waiting for the universe to deliver your desire. It means acting boldly, taking risks, and stepping out of your comfort zone. But this action comes from a different place than the striving and struggling most people engage in. It comes from a place of alignment with your true self and your highest vision. When you align with your limitless nature, action doesn't feel like hard work or sacrifice. It feels natural, even inevitable. You're not pushing against the current. You're flowing with it. This doesn't mean you won't face challenges or obstacles, but you'll approach these challenges from a place of creativity and possibility, rather than fear and limitation. One powerful practice for living without limits is to regularly do things that scare you. Not reckless things that put you in physical danger, but things that challenge your perceived limitations. Speak up in a meeting when you'd usually stay silent. Apply for that job you think is out of your league. Start the business you've been dreaming about. Each time you do something that scares you, you expand your comfort zone and prove to yourself that your limitations are self-imposed. Another crucial aspect of limitless living is surrounding yourself with the right influences. The people you spend time with, the media you consume, the environments you inhabit, all of these shape your beliefs about what's possible. Seek out people who inspire you, who challenge you to think bigger. Read books and listen to talks that expand your mind. Create an environment that reflects and supports your highest vision for yourself. Remember, living without limits doesn't mean you'll never face setbacks or failures. In fact, if you're truly pushing your boundaries, you're likely to encounter more failures than someone playing it safe. The difference is in how you perceive and respond to these setbacks. In a limitless mindset, there is no failure, only feedback. Every setback is an opportunity to learn, grow, and refine your approach. When you encounter an obstacle, instead of seeing it as a sign that you should give up, see it as a challenge to your creativity. Ask yourself, how can I use this experience to become stronger, wiser, and more capable? This resilience in the face of challenges is what separates those who truly live without limits from those who merely dream about it. It's easy to feel limitless when everything is going smoothly. The real test comes when you face adversity. Will you retreat into all patterns of limitation? Or will you stand firm in your knowledge of your infinite potential? Cultivating this resilience requires practice. One effective technique is to reframe your experiences. Instead of labeling events as good or bad, see them all as opportunities for growth. When something doesn't go as planned, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How is this preparing me for something greater? Another powerful practice is to regularly revisit and revise your vision. Living without limits doesn't mean setting a goal once and then doggedly pursuing it, no matter what. It means staying flexible, open to new possibilities, and willing to adjust your course as you grow and evolve. Set aside time each week to review your goals and vision. Are they still aligned with your higher self? Have you outgrown some goals? Are there new horizons you want to explore? This regular review keeps you engaged with your vision and allows you to course correct it as needed. As you live more and more from this limitless mindset, you'll likely find that your definition of success changes. Instead of external markers like wealth, status, or possessions, you will begin to measure success by the degree to which you're expressing your true self and fulfilling your unique potential. This shift in perspective is liberating. You're no longer bound by society's definitions of success or limited by comparisons to others. Your only benchmark is your own continual growth and expansion. This doesn't mean you can't enjoy material success. In fact, you may find that material abundance flows more easily when you're aligned with your true self. But it's no longer the primary focus or measure of your worth. One of the most profound aspects of living without limits is the impact it has on those around you. As you break through your own perceived limitations, you inspire others to do the same. Your courage gives others permission to be courageous. Your expansive thinking encourages others to think bigger. This ripple effect is not to be underestimated. By living without limits, you're not just transforming your own life. You're contributing to the evolution of human consciousness. You're helping to create a world where more and more people recognize and express their infinite potential. But this impact comes with a responsibility. As you step into your power and live without limits, it's crucial to do so with compassion and consideration for others. Living without limits doesn't mean trampling on others or ignoring the interconnectedness of all life. It means recognizing that your true power lies in lifting others up, not putting them down. Use your expanded capabilities to make a positive difference in the world. Find ways to serve that align with your unique gifts and passions. When you combine limitless living with a sense of purpose and service, you tap into a level of fulfillment and joy that goes beyond personal achievement. As you continue on this journey of limitless living, remember that it's exactly that journey. There's no final destination, no point at which you can say, I've made it. I'm now living completely without limits. It's an ongoing process of expansion, growth, and self-discovery. There will be days when you feel invincible, when everything flows effortlessly and your limitless nature is clear as day. There will also be days when old doubts creep in, when challenges seem overwhelming, and when your infinite potential feels like a distant dream. Both of these experiences are part of the journey. The key is to hold steady to your vision, to keep returning to the truth of who you are, regardless of temporary circumstances or emotions. It's about cultivating an unshakable faith, not in some external power, but in the limitless nature of your own being. This faith is built day by day, choice by choice. Every time you choose possibility over limitation, every time you take inspired action despite your fears, every time you pick yourself up after a setback, you're strengthening this faith. You're living the truth of your limitless nature. As we conclude this exploration of living without limits, I invite you to take a moment to reflect. How has your perception of what's possible for you shifted? What limitations are you now ready to release? What bold actions are you inspired to take? Remember, the power to live without limits is already within you. It's not something you need to acquire or achieve. It's your natural state of being. All that's required is to recognize this truth and align your thoughts, feelings, and actions with it. Starting right now, in this very moment, you can choose to live as if you have no limitations. You can tap into the infinite power of your imagination, align with your true self, and step into a life of boundless possibility. The choice is yours. What will you choose?
When you sit in stillness, pondering the question that echoes in your heart, Lord, why hasn't my faith brought the answer yet? You are not asking a distant deity, but the divine essence within you. Faith is not a mere wish nor a desperate plea. It is the art of assuming the end as already fulfilled, of walking in the conviction that what you desire is already yours. The delay, if you perceive one, is not a denial. It is the perfect orchestration of unseen forces aligning to bring about what is best in the most harmonious way. God, who dwells within, works in silence, shaping the contours of your reality with precision and love. Every seeming delay is a reminder to trust the process, to strengthen the bond between your inner conviction and the outer manifestation. Faith is the seed planted in the soil of your imagination. You water it with belief, nourish it with gratitude, and shield it from doubt. But the growth of that seed happens beneath the surface, hidden from your eyes. Just as the roots spread unseen to anchor the tree, so too does God work invisibly in the depth of your being. Do not uproot your seed with impatience or fear. Trust that the unseen is as real, if not more so, than what you can touch or see. When the answer hasn't come yet, it may be because your inner state hasn't yet fully aligned with your desire. Ask yourself not if the world has changed, but if you have changed. Have you truly moved into the feeling of the wish fulfilled? Have you embraced the joy and peace of knowing that it is done, even if no outward sign yet confirms it? Silence is not absence, it is the womb of creation. In the silence, God prepares the way. Every moment of waiting is an opportunity to deepen your faith, to practice living as if the answer has already come. It is in these moments of stillness, when nothing seems to be happening, that the most profound transformations occur. Doubt and impatience are shadows that obscure the light of your faith. Cast them aside, for they only serve to delay what is already on its way. Speak to yourself with conviction, declaring that the fulfillment is inevitable. Your words, when spoken in faith, hold the power to shape reality, for they are echoes of divine creation. The journey of faith is not one of seeing to believe, but of believing to see. Persist in the assumption that your prayer is already answered. God's silence is not a void, it is the quiet assurance that everything is unfolding perfectly. Keep your eyes fixed on the promise, not the problem. Know that what you seek is already seeking you, and in the divine timing, the two shall meet. Faith is the unseen force that connects the desires of your heart to the reality you wish to experience. It is not a passive state of hoping for something to happen, rather, it is an active and conscious decision to assume that your wish has already been fulfilled. Faith operates as a bridge between the world of imagination and the tangible world, bringing what you envision into being. It is the creative power within you, the divine spark that mirrors the infinite possibilities of God Himself. When you hold faith in your heart, you are engaging with the highest form of spiritual alignment. Faith is not about looking at the external world for confirmation, it is about trusting the unseen, believing in the invisible, and holding steadfast to the feeling of your wish being fulfilled, even when the evidence is not yet visible. This is the essence of creation, for everything in the physical world begins as an idea, a belief, a feeling. Faith is the foundation upon which that transformation from idea to reality occurs. Faith requires you to step into the role of the Creator. It asks you to embody the state of already having, even when your senses tell you otherwise. To have faith is to recognize that the power of creation does not come from external circumstances or conditions, but from within you. This power is limitless, unchanging, and always available, but it requires your active participation. By choosing to believe in the reality of your desire, you align yourself with the divine intelligence that orchestrates the universe. There is a profound truth in understanding that faith is not a reaction to favorable circumstances, but a cause that brings those circumstances into being. When you wait for conditions to improve before you believe, you place your power outside yourself. You make your faith conditional upon the external, and in doing so, you deny the creative power within. True faith begins with the unwavering decision to trust, to feel, and to live as though your wish is already fulfilled, regardless of what the outer world may show. The strength of faith lies in its ability to transcend logic and reason. Faith does not require evidence, it is the evidence. It does not wait for the world to confirm its validity, because it knows that the world is a mirror reflecting the state of your inner being. When you embody faith, you are not deceiving yourself, you are aligning yourself with the truth of who you are, an extension of the divine, a co-creator with God. Faith affirms that what you desire is not only possible, but inevitable when you hold it firmly in your consciousness. Faith is not meant to be fleeting or occasional, it is a state of being. It calls you to be steadfast, unwavering, and persistent, even in the face of adversity. When challenges arise, they are not signs that your faith has failed, but opportunities for you to deepen it. These moments test your resolve, asking whether you truly believe or if your belief is dependent on immediate gratification. Faith that endures is faith that creates. It is the quiet strength that carries you through uncertainty, knowing that the end is already secure. One of the greatest misconceptions about faith is the idea that it is passive. Faith is deeply active. It engages your imagination, your feelings, and your actions. To have faith is to see with the inner eye what is not yet visible to the outer. It is to feel the reality of your desire so completely that you cannot help but act as though it is already true. This is not pretense or delusion, it is the most profound act of creation. By living from the end, you call forth the conditions necessary for your desire to manifest. Faith is also inseparable from the power of assumption. To assume the reality of your desire is to claim it as already yours. This assumption is not based on wishful thinking, but on the recognition that creation begins within. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you activate the divine laws of manifestation. You begin to align your thoughts, words, and actions with the state of already having, and in doing so, you bring that state into being. This is the creative process in its purest form, and it is powered by faith. Many people struggle with faith because they confuse it with hope or longing. Hope is a beautiful sentiment, but it is not the same as faith. Hope looks to the future, faith lives in the present. Faith does not say, "One day it will be mine." It declares, "It is mine now." This present tense affirmation is what sets faith apart and gives it its creative power. Faith does not wait for conditions to improve, it improves conditions by transforming your inner state. When you live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the outer world has no choice but to conform. The practice of faith requires discipline and dedication. It asks you to focus your thoughts and feelings on the desired outcome, rather than the current reality. This is not always easy, especially when the world around you seems to contradict your desires. But this is where faith proves its strength. It is in these moments of contradiction that your faith is refined, strengthened, and purified. The more you persist in believing in the unseen, the more you train your mind to focus on what you want rather than what you fear. Faith is intimately connected to your imagination, for it is through imagination that you create the feeling of your wish fulfilled. The mind is the workshop of creation, and imagination is the tool that shapes your reality. When you imagine your desire as already real, you begin to feel the emotions associated with it: joy, gratitude, peace. These feelings are the language of the soul, the signal to the divine that you are ready to receive. By maintaining this feeling, you align yourself with the frequency of your desire, allowing it to flow effortlessly into your experience. The role of faith is not to force or control, but to allow. Faith does not strive, it trusts. It does not question how or when. It knows that all things are unfolding perfectly. This trust is what gives faith its power. It releases the need to manipulate the outer world and focuses instead on cultivating the inner state. When you let go of the how and the when, you free yourself to fully embrace the now. And it is in the now that creation occurs. Faith, at its core, is an act of surrender. It is the willingness to let go of doubt, fear, and resistance, and to rest in the assurance that what you desire is already done. This surrender is not a weakness, but a profound strength, for it allows you to tap into the infinite power of the divine. When you surrender to faith, you open the door for miracles to enter your life, for you align yourself with the limitless potential of God. Faith is not something you acquire, it is something you cultivate. It is a choice you make moment by moment, a decision to trust the unseen over the seen, the eternal over the temporary. Every time you choose faith over doubt, you strengthen your connection to the divine and move closer to the fulfillment of your desires. This is the path of creation, the journey of becoming, and it begins with the simple yet profound act of believing. When you look at the world around you, the greatest miracles often unfold in silence. The seeds that sprout into mighty trees do so beneath the soil, unseen and unheard. The sun rises without a sound, illuminating the world with quiet majesty. In much the same way, God works in silence, orchestrating the intricate details of your life with precision and love, even when you cannot see it or feel it. The silence of God is not a void or an absence, it is a profound stillness filled with intention and purpose. In moments when you feel that nothing is happening, know that everything is happening. Now, the forces that align your circumstances, the whispers of divine guidance, and the shaping of your destiny all occur in this sacred quiet. This silence is where God weaves the unseen threads of your desires into the tapestry of your life. Impatience often leads us to believe that silence is a sign of neglect or indifference, but nothing could be further from the truth. Silence is the space where faith is tested and strengthened. It is in these silent intervals that you are called to trust not in what you can see, but in the unseen. Trust that God's timing is perfect, and trust that even when you cannot perceive progress, divine forces are working tirelessly on your behalf. The silence is also an invitation. It is an opportunity to quiet the noise of your own doubts, fears, and distractions, and to listen with your heart. God speaks most clearly in the stillness, when the chatter of the mind subsides and the soul becomes receptive. This is where divine wisdom flows, where you are reminded that the universe is conspiring in your favor, even when outward appearances suggest otherwise. God's silence is a reminder to rest in the assurance that the outcome is already secure. It is not your role to control or force the process, it is your role to align with it. By trusting the silence, you step into the flow of divine harmony, allowing the unfolding to happen in its perfect time and way. Resistance and worry only delay what is already destined to come, while trust and surrender open the door to miracles. The greatest works of God often unfold in ways that seem invisible or inconsequential at first. Like a seed germinating underground, these works take time to manifest visibly. Yet beneath the surface, the roots grow deep, laying the foundation for a stable and enduring outcome. This is the wisdom of the silent process, an unseen preparation that ensures not only the fulfillment of your desires but their sustainability and abundance. Silence is not only a space of divine action but also a reflection of divine nature. God does not shout, He whispers. He does not rush, He moves with perfect timing. To understand and align with this rhythm, you must embrace the silence, not fear it. Silence is not a pause in the journey, it is the journey itself. It is where your soul learns patience, resilience, and the unshakable trust that what is meant for you cannot miss you. When you look back on the moments in your life where it seemed God was silent, you will often find they were the moments of greatest growth. These are the times when you were being prepared for something far greater than you could have imagined. The silence was not a withholding of blessings, but a time of refinement, where you were molded into the person capable of receiving and sustaining those blessings. God's silence is His assurance that all is well. It is the quiet confidence of a divine plan unfolding perfectly, even when you cannot see the full picture. Like a master artist adding brushstrokes to a canvas, He works meticulously, each stroke contributing to the masterpiece of your life. And just as the artist does not reveal the painting before it is complete, so too does God often work in ways that are hidden until the perfect moment. Embrace the silence, for it is not emptiness but fullness. It is not stagnation but preparation. It is the sacred space where miracles are born, where faith is nurtured, and where the greatest works of God are accomplished. Trust in the silence, and you will discover that it is not the absence of action, but the presence of divine power in its most profound form. Patience is not merely the act of waiting, it is a profound spiritual discipline that aligns your inner world with the divine timing of creation. In the journey of life, it is easy to become restless or anxious when your desires do not manifest as quickly as you hope. Yet patience is the bridge that connects the promise of your dreams to their fulfillment. It is in this space of waiting that your faith is deepened, your character refined, and your alignment with God's plan strengthened. Patience calls you to trust in the unseen, to believe that even when nothing appears to be happening, everything is unfolding exactly as it should. It asks you to release the need to control outcomes and to rest in the assurance that the timing of the universe is perfect. While the physical world often demands instant results, the spiritual process operates on a divine schedule, one that ensures the highest good for all involved. In the moments when patience is most challenging, remember that delays are not denials. They are opportunities for growth, for preparation, and for alignment. When your desires seem out of reach, it is not because they are being withheld, but because the foundation is still being built. Just as a gardener must wait for the seed to sprout, you must allow the unseen forces of creation to do their work. The soil is being prepared, the roots are growing deep, and the conditions are aligning to bring forth the fruit of your efforts. Patience is also a teacher. It teaches you to release resistance and embrace trust. Resistance arises when you push against the flow of life, insisting that things must happen on your terms and timeline. But life has its rhythm, and your task is not to fight it but to harmonize with it. Patience allows you to let go of the struggle and to rest in the knowledge that what is meant for you cannot pass you by. It is in this surrender that you find peace, even in the midst of waiting. When you cultivate patience, you open yourself to the lessons hidden within the process. Waiting is never wasted time. It is a sacred space where transformation occurs. In this space, you learn resilience, humility, and gratitude. You discover the strength to persevere, even when the path is unclear. And you develop the capacity to appreciate the journey, not just the destination. Each moment of waiting becomes an opportunity to deepen your connection with God and to align your desires with His will. Patience also aligns your emotions with your intentions. When you rush or force things, you often act from a place of fear, doubt, or lack. These emotions create resistance and disrupt the flow of creation. Patience, on the other hand, is rooted in trust and faith. It allows you to remain calm and centered, even when the outer world does not yet reflect your inner vision. This emotional alignment is essential because your feelings are the vibrational signal that attracts your desires into being. In the quiet moments of waiting, patience calls you to focus on the present. Too often, impatience pulls you into the future, causing you to worry about what has not yet happened. But the present is where life unfolds, where creation takes place. By practicing patience, you bring your attention back to the now, grounding yourself in the only moment that truly exists. This presence allows you to see the beauty and blessings of the current moment, even as you move toward your desires. Patience is not passive, it is deeply active. It requires you to hold the vision of your desire with unwavering faith while taking inspired action toward its realization. It is not about sitting idly by, waiting for something to happen, but about participating in the process with trust and confidence. Each step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal. And each step taken with patience strengthens your alignment with the divine flow. The power of patience lies in its ability to transform your perspective. It shifts your focus from lack to abundance, from frustration to gratitude, from doubt to faith. It reminds you that life is not a race but a journey, and that each moment is a gift. When you practice patience, you begin to see delays not as obstacles but as divine timing in action. You trust that everything is happening for your highest good, even when it does not unfold as you expect. Patience also deepens your connection with God. It is an act of surrender, a declaration of trust in His wisdom and love. When you are patient, you acknowledge that God's plan is greater than your own, and that His timing is always perfect. This trust allows you to let go of the need for immediate results and to rest in the assurance that all is well. It is in this state of surrender that you find true peace, knowing that your desires are being fulfilled in the best possible way. Patience is a reflection of your inner state. It reveals your capacity to trust, to wait, and to align with the flow of life. It is not a test of endurance, but a journey of transformation, where you learn to let go of resistance and embrace faith. When you practice patience, you align yourself with the divine rhythm of creation, allowing your desires to manifest in their perfect time and way. And in this alignment, you discover that the journey is as beautiful and meaningful as the destination. Silence is not emptiness, it is fullness in disguise. It is the sacred space from which all creation emerges, the womb where dreams, desires, and divine plans gestate before they are born into reality. In this quiet space, the forces of the universe work with precision and intention, weaving the unseen threads of life into a tapestry of infinite possibilities. To dismiss silence as inactivity is to misunderstand its profound power, for it is within silence that the most significant movements of life begin. When you plant a seed in the soil, The most critical transformations occur beneath the surface, hidden from view. The seed splits open, roots push down, and the foundations of growth are laid in utter stillness. Likewise, silence is the fertile ground where your desires take root. It is a sacred pause, a space of becoming, where the divine aligns circumstances, prepares opportunities, and shapes outcomes beyond your comprehension. Silence is not an absence of communication, but a higher form of it. In the stillness, God speaks not through words, but through whispers of intuition, feelings of peace, and moments of clarity. These silent messages guide you toward your purpose and remind you of the divine order unfolding in your life. When you quiet the noise of doubt and distraction, you become attuned to these subtle cues, allowing them to direct your steps with grace and certainty. In silence there is trust. It is a space where faith is both tested and affirmed. When you cannot see the evidence of progress, when the outer world seems unchanged, the silence challenges you to believe in the unseen. It invites you to rest in the assurance that what you have asked for is already on its way. This trust is not passive but active, a deep inner knowing that aligns you with the creative power of the universe. The womb of silence is where divine timing is orchestrated. Just as a baby must grow to full term before entering the world, so must your desires develop in the silence before manifesting. Rushing the process would lead to incompleteness, just as prematurely breaking the silence would disrupt the harmony of creation. Trusting this timing requires patience, a surrender to the rhythm of life that is often beyond your understanding. Silence also serves as a mirror, reflecting the state of your inner being. In the quiet, you cannot hide from yourself. The stillness brings to light your fears, your doubts, and your unspoken longings. It is in this confrontation that transformation begins. The silence gives you the space to release what no longer serves you and to realign with the truth of who you are. It is not merely a passive waiting, but an active preparation for what is to come. Creation, whether of a new life, a new idea, or a new reality, requires this sacred pause. The silence is not an interruption, but an integral part of the process. It is the incubation period where potential is nurtured and strengthened. Just as the caterpillar must dwell in the cocoon before emerging as a butterfly, you too must honor the silence as a necessary stage of your journey. It is not a time of doing but of being, where you align with the essence of what you wish to create. The power of silence lies in its stillness, its ability to hold space for what is yet to be. In a world that often values noise, action, and immediate results, silence can feel uncomfortable or even threatening. Yet it is precisely in this discomfort that growth occurs. The silence asks you to slow down, to listen, and to trust the process. It teaches you that creation is not something you force, but something you allow. When you embrace silence, you step into the flow of divine creativity. You recognize that there is a time for every purpose under heaven, and that the silence is as much a part of creation as the manifestation itself. It is not a void to be filled, but a fullness to be experienced. It is the space where you align with the divine, where you listen to the still, small voice, and where you become a co-creator of your reality. The silence is not empty, it is brimming with possibility. It is the womb of creation, where the seeds of your desires are nurtured and brought to life. To honor the silence is to honor the process, to trust in the unseen, and to recognize that the greatest works of God are often accomplished in the quietest of ways. In this sacred stillness, miracles are born, and the infinite unfolds. Overcoming doubt and impatience is a crucial aspect of manifesting your desires and aligning with the divine flow of life. These two inner challenges, doubt and impatience, are often the very forces that disrupt the process of creation, pulling you away from the peace and certainty required to bring your dreams into reality. To overcome them is not just to wait passively or think positively, but to actively cultivate a state of trust, surrender, and unwavering belief in the unseen. Doubt is the whisper of uncertainty that questions whether what you desire is possible. It creeps in when progress seems slow, when the path ahead feels unclear, or when the evidence of your dreams is not yet visible. Doubt can feel logical, presenting itself as a voice of reason, caution, or even self-preservation. Yet it is a barrier to the very faith that anchors you in the process of manifestation. Doubt weakens the vibrational signal you send out, creating resistance that delays or even blocks the fulfillment of your desires. To overcome doubt, you must first recognize it for what it is, a fear of the unknown. Doubt thrives in the absence of visible evidence, but faith does not require evidence. It is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith is the antidote to doubt, a deliberate choice to trust in the unseen forces of creation. When you feel doubt creeping in, remind yourself of the times in your life when things worked out despite uncertainty. Reflect on the moments when what seemed impossible became possible. These reflections strengthen your faith and remind you that doubt is often unfounded. Impatience, on the other hand, is the urge to rush the process, to see immediate results without allowing time for natural unfolding. It stems from a sense of lack or urgency, a fear that if something doesn't happen now, it never will. Impatience creates a tension within you that disrupts your alignment with the divine flow. It shifts your focus from gratitude for the present moment to frustration over what has not yet come. To overcome impatience, you must cultivate the practice of presence. The present moment is where life unfolds, where creation happens, and where peace resides. When you focus on the now, you free yourself from the anxieties of the future and the regrets of the past. Presence allows you to see the small blessings that are already manifesting, reminding you that progress is being made, even if it feels imperceptible. Each step forward, no matter how small, is part of the larger journey. Another way to combat impatience is to trust in divine timing. The universe operates on a schedule that often surpasses human understanding. What may feel like a delay is often preparation. It is the time needed to align circumstances, refine your character, or open opportunities that you cannot yet see. Trusting in this timing requires surrender, a release of the need to control outcomes, and a willingness to flow with life's rhythm. Doubt and impatience often feed on one another, creating a cycle of frustration and uncertainty. To break this cycle, you must actively choose a mindset of trust and gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful force that shifts your focus from what is missing to what is present. It elevates your vibration and aligns you with the frequency of abundance. When you practice gratitude, you affirm that you are already in the process of receiving, which reinforces your faith and calms the restless energy of impatience. Silence and stillness are also essential tools in overcoming these inner challenges. In the quiet moments of reflection, you can connect with the divine presence within you. Silence allows you to hear the whispers of intuition, the assurances of faith, and the guidance of your higher self. It is in these moments of stillness that doubt and impatience lose their power, replaced by a deep sense of peace and certainty. Action, too, plays a role in overcoming doubt and impatience. While faith requires belief in the unseen, it also calls for inspired action in the seen world. Taking steps toward your desires, no matter how small, reinforces your faith and provides tangible evidence of progress. These actions do not need to be grand or dramatic, they simply need to be aligned with your vision and intention. Each step taken in faith is a declaration to the universe that you are ready to receive. Remember that overcoming doubt and impatience is a journey, not a one-time decision. It requires consistent effort, reflection, and self-awareness. Be gentle with yourself in this process. When doubt arises, meet it with understanding rather than resistance. When impatience flares, acknowledge it as a natural part of being human and choose to return to trust. Each time you do, you strengthen your alignment with the divine flow and move closer to the realization of your desires. The power of persistent assumption lies in its ability to shape your reality, acting as a bridge between your desires and their manifestation. Persistent assumption is not merely wishful thinking, it is a deliberate state of mind where you continuously align your thoughts, feelings, and actions with the reality you wish to create. It is the unwavering belief that what you desire already exists in the unseen realm and is on its way to becoming visible in your life. At the core of this power is the principle that consciousness creates reality. What you consistently hold in your mind and feel as true becomes the blueprint for your life. Your assumptions are the seeds you plant in the fertile ground of your subconscious mind. With persistence, these seeds grow into the circumstances, relationships, and experiences that shape your world. Just as a farmer does not plant a seed one day and expect a harvest the next, you must nurture your assumptions with patience and faith, trusting that the process is unfolding perfectly. Persistent assumption is not about force but about consistency. It is the quiet, steady application of belief, even in the face of contradictory evidence. When doubts arise, persistent assumption does not fight against them, it simply returns to the truth of the desired state. This persistence is what allows the subconscious mind to accept your assumption as fact, creating a new vibrational pattern that aligns with your vision. One of the keys to harnessing the power of persistent assumption is emotional alignment. It is not enough to think about what you desire, you must feel it as though it is already yours. Emotions are the energy that animates your assumptions, giving them the vitality needed to manifest. When you assume persistently, you cultivate a state of being that matches the reality you wish to experience. This alignment between thought and emotion is what draws your desire into your life. Persistent assumption also requires imagination. The mind cannot hold on to what it cannot see. By vividly imagining your desired reality, you create a mental picture that serves as a focus for your thoughts and feelings. Imagination allows you to step into the experience of having what you want, reinforcing your assumption and making it feel real. Through repetition, this imagined reality becomes a natural part of your consciousness, dissolving resistance and replacing doubt with certainty. In the practice of persistent assumption, time becomes irrelevant. You are not concerned with when your desire will manifest, because you are already living in the end result in your mind and heart. This detachment from time removes the urgency that can lead to doubt or impatience. Instead, you trust that the manifestation is inevitable, allowing the universe to orchestrate the perfect timing and circumstances for its arrival. One of the challenges of persistent assumption is maintaining your focus in a world filled with distractions and contrary evidence. It requires discipline to keep your thoughts aligned with your desired reality, especially when the external world seems unchanged. However, this is where the true power of persistence lies. By holding firm to your assumption, you train your mind to prioritize your inner reality over external appearances. Over time, the outer world begins to reflect the changes that have already occurred within. The power of persistent assumption is amplified when combined with inspired action. While the act of assuming creates the inner alignment necessary for manifestation, action provides a channel for that alignment to express itself. These actions do not stem from fear or desperation, but from a sense of confidence and trust. They are the natural outflow of a mind and heart aligned with their desired state. Each step you take reinforces your assumption, creating momentum that propels you toward your goal. Persistent assumption is not a one-time effort but a way of life. It is a commitment to living from the end result, to embodying the reality you wish to create in every moment. This requires vigilance and self-awareness, as well as the willingness to let go of limiting beliefs and habitual thoughts that no longer serve you. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes, until persistent assumption is no longer a conscious effort, but a seamless part of who you are. At its heart, persistent assumption is an act of faith. It is the trust that the unseen is more real than the seen, that the power within you is greater than any external circumstance. This faith is not blind but rooted in the understanding that you are a co-creator of your reality, endowed with the ability to shape your life through the thoughts and feelings you hold most persistently. When you assume the best, when you persist in the belief that your desires are already yours, you align with the infinite creative power of the universe. In this alignment, miracles become natural, and the extraordinary becomes commonplace. Persistent assumption transforms not just your outer circumstances, but your inner state, filling you with a sense of peace, confidence, and certainty. It allows you to live in the joy of having even before your desire is physically present. This joy, this feeling of already being, is the true manifestation, and it is the foundation upon which the visible reality is built.